Good evening, I'm David Rose, and here's a look at some of our top cases this weekend on Washington's Most Wanted in partnership with Crime Stoppers. And we begin with the search for the 4 suspects who opened fire last weekend near Judkins Park in Seattle's Central District. They shot a 2-year-old girl in the face and 3 men. This is video from the scene at 23rd Avenue South and South Jackson Street last Sunday afternoon. All 4 victims survived. The little girl was released from the hospital earlier this week. It's truly amazing when you listen to the barrage of gunfire recorded on a cell phone. Now, I'm only using the audio to protect the witness's identity, but it gives you an idea of how terrifying this was.
Suspects park behind an AutoZone at 23rd and Jackson, run around the side of the building, stand above a little walkway, and fire more than 30 rounds into the parking lot, striking these 4 people.
Another witness heard all those shots and took this cell phone video showing the gunman running from the scene. They got into a 2001 tan Chevy Tahoe that was reported stolen out of Renton. Detectives are asking for your help to find that Tahoe and to identify the suspects. 2 of them got into the front seat of the Tahoe, and the video shows the other 2 getting into the back of the vehicle before it sped away. Detectives don't have a motive yet. Just listen to these shots one more time. This is unforgivable. This is in the middle of a Sunday afternoon to shoot at a little girl.
If anybody in that area has any kind of footage, you can download the P3 Tips app and submit that to us anonymously so we have it, and let's help solve this case.
So again, here is another look at the suspects and their stolen tan Tahoe. It had Washington license plate BFX 9017. If you know where Seattle Police can find that vehicle, or if you can identify these suspects, Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound will pay you a cash reward of up to $1,000. You will remain anonymous. You can text the information through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone or call 1-800-222-TIPS. King County Sheriff's detectives need your help tonight to find a man accused of rape. Ishmael Cadane has a warrant for his arrest for 3rd-degree rape. The victim says she was asleep in a bed at a friend's house after a party last November when she awoke to Cadane raping her. He could be armed because court documents show he had a Glock handgun with him that night that he showed off to people at the party. The victim told detectives he put that gun on the bed while he raped her.
I'd like to talk specifically to our suspect in this case. I read the summary, and we know what happened on that night in November of 2020. We know what you did, and it's time that you turn yourself in and bring closure for our victim. There's no place in the U.S. that you're going to go that we won't find you and bring you back. The courts have found $75,000 in reasons to bring you home, and we need to get you in and hold you accountable for the event. You know what you did. Turn yourself in so we can get this case closed for our survivor.
Cadane is also wanted by Tukwila Police for failure to obey an officer in a case that's separate from the alleged rape. Ishmael Cadane is 24 years old. He's 5 feet 7 inches tall. He weighs 155 pounds. He has tattoos on his arms, including 3 cartoon monkeys that are respectively covering their ears, eyes, and mouth. Detectives say Cadane could be in the Fife, SeaTac, or Tukwila area. He's known to drive a silver 2004 Honda Accord with Washington plates BLB 2072. If you know where he's hiding, submit a tip to Crime Stoppers right now through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone or call the hotline 1-800-222-TIPS. And you will be paid a cash reward of up to $1,000 if your tip leads to his arrest. Now, a truly heart-wrenching case in Arlington where a 78-year-old U.S. Marine veteran, a former logger for the U.S. Forest Service, was murdered while sitting in his vehicle, having coffee, and waiting for his dialysis appointment. Tonight, there is a $10,000 cash reward if you can help police catch his killer. Ivan Maik's daughter says her dad had stage 5 kidney disease and was treated 3 times a week at the Puget Sound Kidney Center. Arlington Police say he left his Granite Falls home and stopped at a cash machine in Marysville for some pocket money. Detectives say he was followed by this black 2013 or 2014 Range Rover Sport SUV from the ATM to the medical center in Arlington. The Rover pulled into the parking lot on Smokey Point Boulevard behind Ivan's vehicle. It was 5:45 a.m. His appointment was at 6. Police say the suspect got out of the Range Rover, crouched down behind Ivan's vehicle, and then opened his driver's side door and shot him multiple times.
In the process of that, there were employees of that nearby business who had exited from their business, exited and started to scream during the shooting, and some shots were then fired at them.
Neither employee was hit. The suspect jumped back into the Range Rover and drove off. Detectives say they don't know the race or gender of the driver, described as slender, 5'7" to 5 feet 9 inches tall, wearing all dark clothing and a dark mask.
It is extremely important that we get this person off the street and to provide the victim's family some closure and our community some closure and safety.
Ivan's murder comes just 6 months after his longtime partner of 50 years passed away from cancer. His family says he knew all of the back roads of Washington State and loved the outdoors, watching the Seahawks and the Mariners, and lived a simple life. This is a man who served our country honorably, murdered in cold blood. So please help Arlington Police solve this case. Again, there is a $10,000 cash reward offered by Ivan's daughter and Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound. If you know where police can find that Range Rover or identify the suspect, submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone or call 1-800-222-TIPS. And let's get this suspect off the streets and behind bars. Tonight, a bizarre and brazen hit-and-run case in SeaTac that King County Sheriff's detectives are trying to solve, and they're hoping you can identify the driver of this yellow Ford F-150. Surveillance video showed him ramming 2 cars and pushing them both into the Wings Auto Repair Shop. This is at the corner of Des Moines Memorial Drive South and South 144th Street in SeaTac. It happened while the business was closed last Sunday afternoon. What's wrong with this guy? He uses the steel bars on the front of his truck to push the white Ford Mustang halfway through the garage door, backs up, and then bashes the black BMW next to it right into the building. Now, the shop owner says he was inside with a friend who could have been hurt. He says the suspect had first come to the front door to confront him.
I called out, I was like, who's this, right? He said, this is Marcelo. I was like, and I was like puzzled. I was like, who's Marcelo? I was like, well, we're not open right now. What can I do? How can I help you, right? I mean, he's like, open up the door. Let me talk to you.
The owner says the whole thing is strange. His shop was burglarized and his tools stolen on Easter Sunday. The suspect was telling them that he's the guy who did it. The owner did the right thing and called 911. He did not open the door. Well, before officers could arrive, the suspect smashed those cars into his shop. It did more than $20,000 worth of damage.
You know, we see so many of our criminals, they commit their crimes under the cover of darkness. You know, they cover their faces, they conceal their identity, they do these things at night. But not this fella. Boy, he does it in a bright yellow F-150 in broad daylight off a busy street. To me, that's a challenge. He's challenging us to find him and hold him accountable for this. So you know what? Let's accept that challenge. I'm going to ask Washington's Most Wanted viewers and those that support Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound, you know who this fella is. That truck is too unique for someone not to have seen it or know who the owner is.
Detectives describe the suspect as Hispanic, 35 to 40 years old, with a heavy build. He wore a dark ball cap and a dark Nike t-shirt with the name in white and a red swoosh below it. And again, the shop owner says he told him his name was Marcelo. We don't know if that's true. Says he has no clue why the man would target and damage his business like that, much less come back and say he was the one who took the tools. This is really weird, and it's terrifying for the business owner. So let's help give him some peace of mind by getting this driver identified so detectives can figure out what his deal is. You recognize him, you can tell him where to find that yellow Ford F-150. Submit an information tip right now through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone or call 1-800-222-TIPS and pocket the cash reward. Now, hundreds of victims, lives destroyed, and finances left in ruins. And detectives say one man is responsible. Take a look at 42-year-old Jeremiah Lee Wysocki. Everett police are asking for your help to find him. He's wanted on numerous criminal charges right now, including 7 counts of second-degree identity theft and 4 counts of forgery. Tonight, one of Wysocki's alleged victims details the horrible impact it's had on his life.
He stole my identity going through my mailbox, and the damage he caused is just like indescribable.
It's been more than 2 years since police say they caught Jeremiah Wysocki with 7 fraudulent credit cards in Cesar Paez's name, even a Washington State driver's license using Cesar's stolen info and Wysocki's photo. He even had his savings stolen, and still the financial nightmare continues.
I constantly checking my banking accounts and everything, just to the level of damage this guy had caused, that I live on that fear. I think it's gonna live on that fear for the rest of my life.
Cesar was just one name in a huge stack of fake IDs.
He took my victims for well over $100,000, and probably more if you sit down and talk to each one of them. So he's out there causing havoc on a lot of people.
Detective Danny Rebellos with Everett Police started investigating the case when Wysocki was stopped in a stolen vehicle.
It was a Range Rover, so a full-size SUV that was completely packed from behind the driver's seat and passenger seat all the way to the rear, floor to ceiling, with identity theft, equipment, people's identities, credit card statements, fake IDs, fake credit cards. It was just a massive lab, the biggest one I'd ever seen.
Wysocki was arrested and then released on bond. Now he's wanted after failing to show up in court. And over the last few years, he's been investigated by Bothell Police for allegedly dealing M30s, the deadly fake opioid pills laced with fentanyl, as well as by Mill Creek Police and other departments for using stolen credit cards at stores all over Snohomish County. Cards stolen during car prowls and out of the mail.
You really made my life like real miserable.
Cesar says he's constantly checking his credit. Fighting to repair it has become like a second job, and he's always looking over his shoulder now.
I'm here doing the right thing, and I hope somebody turn this guy in. This guy is real dangerous to society, and he should not be on the street.
Jeremiah Wysocki is 5 feet 11 inches tall. He weighs 190 pounds. Detectives say he travels frequently from Snohomish County, so keep a lookout for him as well in King County and in Spokane. Detectives say he could be there, and they've had victims from Eastern Washington. He's most likely using identification in other people's names. Call 911 if you spot him. If you can tell Everett Police where to find him. Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound is going to give you a cash reward of up to $1,000. Text your tip through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone. Identity theft is a rampant problem all across our state. But in Thurston County next weekend, there's a way you can help protect yourself and fight ID theft. Crime Stoppers of the South Sound is having their annual shred event. It even lets you watch your personal documents get shredded right there on site. So the event is next Saturday. It's April 24th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the main entrance to St. Martin's University off Pacific Avenue in Lacey.
It's quite an operation. It's quite exciting. So you show up, bring your documents, and you can actually watch your documents being shredded. So it doesn't cost anything, but donations are accepted. Of course, it goes to Crime Stoppers, which is an incredible organization that assists in apprehending criminals. It's incredibly important to shred your documents and destroy your documents because of what's on those documents. I can tell you as a detective, the amount of fraud and forgery related cases that I take are significant. In fact, those are the majority of my cases. So make it more difficult for folks. Shred that sensitive information that you have.
Several law enforcement agencies will also be there for even more peace of mind. Again, it's Crime Stoppers of South Sound's annual Shred event next Saturday from 9 to 2 at St. Martin's University. You know, the Ruston Way waterfront is just gorgeous in Tacoma. It's a bustling part of the city. People go there to enjoy year-round, especially when the weather starts to warm up. But last week, part of the popular strip became a murder scene. The body of 29-year-old Mariella VargasBrown, or Mari, as she was known to many, was found on the side of the road outside her car near the north end of Ruston Way. It was around 10:30 p.m. on Tuesday, April 6th. Now, Tacoma Police homicide detectives say Mari had been shot, and her murder remains unsolved. Washington's Most Wanted's Olivia LaVoice talked with Mari's mom, who wants justice.
I apologize. When the weather gets nice, Ruston Way attracts people from all over to enjoy our waterfront.
Last week, Tacoma police say the scenic spot attracted someone who violently ended a young woman's life.
She was shot.
It was just after 10:30 p.m. last Tuesday when the 911 call came in. The scene was startling. A car had crashed into a pole. The body of 29-year-old Mariella VargasBrown was on the pavement just outside of it. The car belonged to her. She had just bought it for herself.
I just need answers. I just need answers.
Her own mother first heard something terrible had happened from one of her daughter's friends. She thought surely it had to be just a horrific rumor.
I started calling the police department to find out if it was true. Nobody would tell me anything. Everybody kept putting me on hold. So finally I called the city morgue and asked him if they had my daughter, and he identified her.
In the week since getting the life-altering news, Mariella's mother is no closer to understanding how this could have happened to her baby.
All I know is my daughter was down at the waterfront with her boyfriend. Shots rang out, and she was hit by a stray bullet.
While there's still so many unknowns, family says the only theory that possibly makes sense to them is the bullet was meant for somebody else.
She was a phlebotomist. She drew blood off of children. She loved kids. She loved life. She loved to laugh.
She says her daughter didn't have any enemies. She was loved and respected, her life dedicated to helping children. She wonders if the killer understands just how senseless it is.
If it was an accident and it wasn't meant for her, like, I get that. I don't think I could forgive you, but do the right thing for her and just turn yourself in. She was innocent and she deserves justice.
This kind of violence cannot go unpunished. If you have any information on Mari's murder, the night of April 6th on Ruston Way in Tacoma, please do what you can to help. You will remain anonymous. You will never be asked to give your name when you submit a tip to Crime Stoppers. The tip goes directly to the detectives investigating the case, and you'll get a $1,000 cash reward if it leads to an arrest. You can submit them through the P3 Tips app on your cell phone or call the hotline 1-800-222-TIPS. And if you'd like to help pay for Mari's funeral costs and help her family, they've set up a GoFundMe account. We've put a link to it on our website in this story, catchwmw.com. So that's a look at some of the stories airing tonight on Washington's Most Wanted. I hope you'll join us for the full show at 11 o'clock on Q13 Fox. And tomorrow night at 9:30 on Joe TV. And it airs again at 10:30 p.m. on Q13 Fox and our Fox television station partners in Spokane, Yakima, and the Tri-Cities. And together, we can all make sure our state is safer and these criminals have nowhere left to hide.